You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at 4 on this Thursday. The weather, once again, our top story today, and we're bringing you team coverage as we're facing more alert day conditions this week.
Meteorologist Jacob Montesano is here in the studio with the First Warn forecast.
And our Tanisha Shaw is live on the west side of Madison tonight with more unexpected closures and the community response to this bitterly cold weather system. But we'll begin with the forecast on an extremely active weather week.
From larger amounts of snow to high wind, and now to some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in years.
First Warn meteorologist Jacob Montesano is here to tell us what we can expect over the next few days. Jacob?
Yeah, the cold weather is going to be dangerous, especially tomorrow. So if you have anything that you need to do, I'd advise getting it done this evening, because temperatures, although they are certainly cold, they are not too awful out there. Teens for a lot of Dane County. Some areas are in the single digits, but no one will see temperatures above zero tomorrow. At least it's very likely, and we're certainly not going to see the wind chills anywhere close to zero. Now, looking at the current wind chills, they are below zero right now, but these are going to be anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees warmer than what we're going to see for this time tomorrow. So as we take a look at the alert day information, wind chills could drop into the negative 40s, which we haven't seen since 2019. And this is really going to begin tonight into tomorrow morning. Alert day conditions will continue through Sunday morning, but the worst of it will be tonight into tomorrow morning. There's an extreme cold warning in effect for everybody starting at midnight tonight and continuing through 1 p.m. tomorrow. Looking at the actual low temperatures, these aren't the wind chills. These are the actual temperatures. They're expected to drop into the negative teens, anywhere from negative 15 to negative 20 for a lot of the region. Wind chills will obviously be much colder than this. And then looking at the daytime highs tomorrow, again, still not the wind chills. These are the actual temperatures, and these are the highs projected for tomorrow. They're expected to be anywhere from negative 5 to negative 10. So some of the coldest air we've seen in years. I'll continue talking more about it, but it is certainly going to be dangerous, especially throughout the day tomorrow. I'll have more coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Jacob. Of course, it's important to stay safe and plan ahead when wind chills are below zero.
A lot of people want to stay warm, but we want to remind you how to do it safely. Our Tanisha Shaw is outside, bundled up on Madison's west side with more. And Tanisha, you spoke to the Madison Fire Department today.
Hi, Brady and Susan. Yes, I did. And let me tell you, it's cold right now, and it's only going to be colder later. And the Madison Fire Department knows that a lot of people are going to find a lot of unique ways to retain heat during these cold, frigid, bitter temperatures. And some people might want to pull out that space heater, but it's important to know that that does come with some risk. Older space heaters have less safety features. MFD suggests that people only use the newer ones because they're more updated and they can detect when something is inside a vent, and they can prevent fires. Firefighters also respond to homes that often use heat and candles, or even a stove, to retain heat. Now, let me tell you, those candles and using the stove should not be used ever to retain heat in a home.
You never want to use an alternative source of heat if all possible. Like you were talking about with the stoves, electric stoves can get quite hot. You can have issues if you have pets or kids. Somebody can get in there, get burned, or something can happen with that. But they definitely create a problem where they only heat up a small area anyway. So everybody's kind of congregated together, and again, that's when it can bring in some of the pets and the kids to play with it. And you really want to make sure that that is not your first option.
Yeah, and the Madison Fire Department also said that this is a time that the community should be coming together. If you know anyone that is vulnerable, especially if they're your neighbor, give them a call. If you have a chance, give them a door knock and just make sure they're okay if they're elderly or a single parent. Reporting on Madison's west side, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
That is a very good suggestion. Tanisha, thank you. And with dangerous temperatures on the way, many of you may be wondering if your child's school district could cancel school tomorrow. The Madison School District has already canceled classes for tomorrow, and as far as why they made the decision, their website says the district monitors weather conditions and consults with meteorologists, the City of Madison, Madison Police, and transportation transportation providers, adding that they will consider closing schools at negative 25 degrees. The Madison District says it makes every effort to make a decision on closing by 9 p.m. the night before or by 5:30 a.m. the morning of school.
Other schools that are closing for tomorrow include Dodgeville, Sun Prairie, Jefferson Schools, Stoughton, Verona area schools, and Waunakee. You can find the list of nearly 50 public and private schools that have already called off tomorrow on our website, channel3000.com. And we have listings updated the minute we get them.
Several communities in our area are also offering warming centers to help get anyone who needs it out of the cold. In Middleton, City Hall will be open from 8 to 4. The police department lobby is open 24 hours a day, and the Middleton Public Library and the Senior Center are also available during their regular posted hours. In Platteville, the police department is open 24 hours a day and available through at least Sunday, and City Hall is open from 8 to 4. Plus, the public library will have varied hours through the weekend.
The freezing temperatures can cause frostbite, which can happen in minutes. Symptoms appear in 3 stages: cold, sore, and painful, that's frost nip; pins and needles, surface frostbite; and then numbness, that's deep frostbite. Well, the best way to warm up after experiencing any of these symptoms, particularly for the fingers or toes, would be to run them under warm, not hot water. And if you see any discoloration or blisters forming, you should see your doctor right away.
The city of Janesville is offering information about how to avoid your water service from freezing, as well as Janesville resident obligations. They say to keep your tap water running at some level because it's harder for running water to freeze. Also, you may have to provide a source of heat for your water meter to prevent freeze-ups, and that could be as simple as opening up a cabinet door. In Janesville, the cost for replacement of a frozen meter is solely the property owner's responsibility. If your service line freezes, cost to thaw them starts at about $250.
To stay on top of the closures and weather in our area, you can download the First Warn Weather app. It has hourly planners, road conditions, and radar, and you can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather.
In other news tonight, we continue to follow the story from this morning where a man who drowned a stolen vehicle in Monona Bay.
Yeah, the manhunt continues for the identified individual. Nash Dara shares the latest details. Nash.
Yeah, Brady and Susan, a crazy story from this morning is still unraveling as officers continue their search for 55-year-old Derek Newton, who police say carjacked an SUV and submerged the vehicle around 125 yards offshore into the Monona Bay near Brittingham Park. The reported carjacking occurred at 6:10 a.m. near Unity Point Health Meriter. Following the incident, the hospital was then put on lockdown due to the suspect being believed to have a knife, a gun, and still be a threat to the general public. Dozens of police units and teams responded to the scene on the water, including fire crews with divers who then went into the frozen lake, where they then confirmed no one was still in the vehicle.
A lot of the resources in the Brittingham area, I think, have dissipated at this point. So no, I don't believe, we still have officers in the 200 block of South Park and the general vicinity that will be assigned to this for quite a while. But there are no active dog tracks right now. There's no active sightings and such.
Also said the active investigation continues to find the identified individual, who police are still considering to be armed and dangerous. Brady and Susan, more details on this story and the continued manhunt coming later in the 4.
All right, we will see you later, Nash. Thank you. A local bride is warning other brides-to-be to double-check ownership when it comes to wedding venues.
And this after major complications throughout the wedding and planning process. Multiple reports of unhappy brides are coming to light after a change in ownership at Over the Vines Vineyard and wedding venue. Months after her wedding, one bride contacted Call for Action following a drop in communication, and she says she didn't receive her damage deposit back, despite the contract stating that she'd get a return within 14 days. She says communication was another complication.
I just don't want what happened to us happen to other brides, because, you know, you spend tens of thousands, you have dreams of your wedding, and for this to happen, it's truly upsetting.
Tonight on News 3 Now at 10, consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn brings you the full wedding contract clash and what management has to say. Did the brides ever get their deposits back? We'll show you in the story tonight.
Coming up next on Live at 4, if you're planning on braving the cold this weekend, Josh has more on what's going on around town in the 608.
And don't worry, everything on his list will be nice and warm inside.
And then we're continuing our coverage on ICE agent action in Minneapolis as Vice President J.D. Vance visited today. Plus, a memo is circulating that shows ICE agents have been told they can force their way into suspects' homes without a search warrant.
And our First Warn weather team is tracking brutally cold weather through this weekend. Jacob paints a clearer picture in the full forecast.
News 3 Now, live at 4.
Welcome back. Looking at that alert day information, the coldest wind chills will be tomorrow morning, where they could drop into the negative 40s, but we're going to continue to see those cold temperatures throughout the weekend. Now, when it comes to this winter weather, we are certainly not alone. Take a look at all of the winter storm warnings, extreme cold warnings across the United States. While we're dealing with this extreme cold, areas to the south could see a borderline historic winter storm. So there's a lot of the United States dealing with a lot of very impactful winter weather over the next couple of days. Looking closer at our area, extreme cold warning. It's in effect starting at midnight tonight, continuing through 1 p.m. Friday, but then there's a cold weather advisory from 1 p.m. Friday until noon on Saturday. So looking at the wind chills, right now they are below zero. They're going to drop much further down by tomorrow morning, as we mentioned, into the negative 40s, and there's not going to be much relief. There's not going to be much relief during the afternoon Friday, only improving into the negative 20s. And And then for Saturday morning, we're going to continue to see these negative 20s for wind chills. By Saturday afternoon, it will get a little bit better, maybe seeing wind chills get around zero, but then they're going to drop back into the negative teens, maybe even more negative 20s by the time we get to Sunday morning. So the next several mornings, especially tomorrow morning, will feature bitterly cold temperatures. Now, as we take a look at how much time you can get frostbite in these wind chills, we're going to be in this red box with temperatures between negative 15 and negative 20 tomorrow morning, wind speeds between 10 and 20 miles per hour, and we can get into that negative 40 range, and that could mean wind chills in as cold or as quickly as 10 minutes. So if you have to be outside for any reason, definitely bundle up, but limit your time outside for sure, and that also includes limit the time that your pets are outside. Now, to put this wind chill into perspective, here's a list of the 10 coldest wind chills Madison has ever seen, or on record, I should say. And the only one that I want to note here, at least overall that's happened recently, was back in 2019. We had a wind chill of negative 49 degrees. Now we're going to get close to around negative 45, which it won't break the all-time record for the coldest wind chill for Madison, which is negative 54, but we are going to get close to one of the coldest stretches of weather, at least for tomorrow morning, that we've seen, especially in recent memory. And looking at the last time we've had these cold temperatures, it is once again January of 2019, where we had wind chills at negative 49. The daytime high for January 30th that year was negative 10. That's also the last time we had a wind chill or a daytime high below negative 5. And we've only had 8 days since the year 2000 in Madison where the high temperature was below zero. The last one being December 23rd, 2022. That day, the high was negative 3. And the forecast for tomorrow calls for a high of negative 7. So we're likely going to see the coldest day since that polar vortex in 2019. And even next week, we are going to be seeing very cold temperatures. Just not quite as cold as the next couple of days, but the average high this time of year is 27. It's the coldest time of the year, and we're not even going to get close to that level. So the cold weather, although it will get better, it's certainly not going anywhere.
So tomorrow will be the worst of it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Tomorrow morning specifically. And then the weekend, the mornings will be very cold, and even the afternoons are going to be cold, but especially tomorrow will be the dangerously cold day.
By Tuesday, that 18 is going to feel pretty good. All right, thank you, Jacob. Well, it's Thursday, and we're already looking forward to the weekend in the 608.
And Josh Spreiter is in studio with your weekend planner.
It is going to be a cold one this weekend, so I'm giving you a few ways to stay warm inside and have fun. Here are my 3 things to do this weekend in the 608. The Dane County Humane Society is inviting kids to discover the world of animals during Discovery Day on Sunday. It runs from 9 to 5. The one-day program offers hands-on activities focused on animal care, humane education, and wildlife awareness. Kids will learn how animals are cared for at the shelter, take part in games and crafts, and explore ways to help animals in our community. Registration is required and space is limited. You can get your tickets for $15 online right now. Happening Saturday, support your favorite farmers at the Winter Farmers Market. This is at Garver Feed Mill from 8 to noon. You can expect fresh fruits and veggies, cheeses, hyperlocal meats, honey, bakery items, and many other specialty items. And finally, Winter Restaurant Week begins Sunday in Madison. This is an opportunity to support 42 local businesses. Our partners at Madison Magazine are proud to put this on twice a year. Winter Restaurant Week runs Sunday to Friday next week, and I'll have reports on what's new this time around both tomorrow along with Tuesday and Wednesday next week live in the 608. And you can find more happenings this weekend in the 608 by going to channel3000.com. In the 608, I'm Josh Spreiter.
Thank you, Josh. And you can find Josh every morning and noon right here on News 3 Now. We will be offering full team coverage all through the weekend, tracking this near record-setting cold weather that we're expecting.
And later on Live at 4, police say an armed and dangerous man is still on the loose after stealing a car and crashing it near a Madison lake.
And then on Capitol Hill, a set of health insurance CEOs are in the hot seat as lawmakers are trying to place blame for rising health care costs.
Plus, Vice President J.D. Vance is in Minneapolis trying to rally ICE agents after 2 weeks of protests following the killing of Renee Good.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Let's see how stocks fared on this Thursday afternoon. Green across the board at the close. The Dow closed up 306 points. The Nasdaq gained 211 and the S&P 500 is up 37.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met behind closed doors today with President Trump at the World Economic Forum in Davos. After the meeting, Zelensky said land in the eastern part of Ukraine is still a major roadblock on the path to ending the war with Russia. But for the first time, Zelensky says representatives from Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S. are preparing for negotiations together. Also today, President Trump launched his Board of Peace with a signing event in Davos. 22 countries, including the U.S., signed the charter, but many European allies, including the United Kingdom, have declined the president's invitation to join for now.
It has been more than 3 weeks since the fatal shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis.
And tensions between ICE agents and demonstrators have not cooled since, with new arrests taking place today. Vice President J.D. Vance visited the Twin Cities today and delivered a strong backing to federal law enforcement. Nicole Skanga has the latest.
Federal agents arrested several people they allege were part of anti-ICE protests that disrupted a church service in Minnesota on Sunday. The church was targeted by demonstrators who say one of the pastors leads the local ICE field office.
We're going to go after you with every single tool that we have.
Vice President J.D. Vance visited Minneapolis on Thursday and asked for local politicians to cooperate with ICE.
It would make our lives a lot easier, it would make our officers a lot safer, and it would make Minneapolis much less chaotic if we had a little bit of cooperation.
ICE officials are defending a memo obtained by CBS that shows they've been told they can force their way into suspects' homes without a judge's search warrant.
So first off, we don't break into anybody's homes. We make entry in either a hot pursuit with a criminal arrest warrant or an administrative arrest warrant.
Amid the crackdown, protesters have complained that ICE agents are acting without restraint. This week, they detained a 5-year-old boy in his driveway in Minnesota while attempting to arrest his father. School officials say the family has an active asylum case and has not been told to leave the U.S.
Why detain a 5-year-old? You can't tell me that this child is going to be classified as a violent criminal.
DHS officials describe the father as an illegal immigrant from Ecuador and say he abandoned his child while trying to evade capture. 5-year-old Liam Ramos and his dad are now being held in a Texas detention facility. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Minneapolis.
There doesn't appear to be any end in sight for ICE's operation in Minnesota. U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino said today his agents will only leave once all immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally are off the streets.
The CEOs from 5 of the largest health insurers appeared before House lawmakers today to address health care affordability. Their testimony comes after Congress did not renew Affordable Care Act subsidies, driving up premiums for millions of Americans. Republicans faulted the law, also known as Obamacare, and industry consolidation, while Democrats blamed their GOP colleagues for the problem.
Competition is essential for patient access. Lack of competition and consolidation within the insurance marketplace has led us to higher healthcare costs as a whole.
Make no mistake, congressional Republicans and President Trump are to blame for the healthcare affordability crisis Americans are experiencing today, and it's only going to get worse.
Last year alone,
the health insurance executives testified factors beyond their control, like rising treatment costs and an aging population, have increased premiums.
Coming up on Live at 4, we're talking with Madison Magazine's Emma Waldinger about the latest issue.
And on the 53rd anniversary of Roe v. Wade, Wisconsin Democrats are sounding the alarm over what they describe as mounting threats to abortion access.
And then a man who stole a car and crashed it into a Madison lake. That man is still on the loose tonight. We'll tell you what we know about the armed and dangerous suspect.
Plus, the first warn forecast is full of freezing weather. We'll have what's coming our way and how it will affect your day tomorrow, and how to keep yourself and your home safe.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live at 4 on this Thursday. A couple more hours left to get ready before the real bitter cold moves in tomorrow.
We're trying to help you prepare. We are bringing you team coverage as we are facing more alert day conditions this week.
Jacob Montesano is here in the studio with us. He'll have the latest on the forecast.
And Tanisha Shaw is live on Madison's west side with how community programming is planning around this weather.
But before we get to Tanisha, let's get a check of the first warn forecast.
Jacob is here in the studio to tell us more about this brutally cold weather, Jacob.
Yeah, if you have anything that you need to do, whether today, tomorrow, or that you need to do the next couple of days, do it tonight, because once we get towards tomorrow, the temperatures will get dangerously cold, and it's certainly cold right now, but it's not terrible out there, if I could put it frankly. As we take a look at the temperatures right now, teens for much of Dane County, 14 in Madison. Some areas, though, are already in the single digits further off to the north, and wind chills are at least near zero, if not below zero, for a lot of locations, already in the negative double digits for areas further to the north and west. But it's only going to get worse as we head into the overnight hours, and by the time we get to Friday morning, we could be talking about wind chills near negative 45. And this is especially going to be tonight into tomorrow morning, but the wind chills are going to remain well below zero all day Friday, all day Saturday, and maybe for most of Sunday as well. So it's going to be a stretch of cold weather, but tomorrow morning especially will be the worst. Extreme cold warning in effect for our entire area starting at midnight tonight. And as we take a look at the actual lows, these aren't the wind chills. These are the actual temperatures. They're expected to drop into the negative teens, anywhere from negative 15 to negative 20, with daytime highs tomorrow only reaching about negative 5 to negative 10. And so obviously the wind chills are going to be a lot colder than that. It's also going to be a bit breezy, which will make those wind chills feel even colder. So some of the coldest air we've seen in years is really going to begin tonight into tomorrow. I'll talk all about it coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. It's going to be a snow day today for a lot of kids across our viewing area. Most of the big school districts and businesses too, a lot of places have already announced they will be closed tomorrow because of the weather. And on the bottom of your screen, you can see an updated list of closings across our area.
Well, Meals on Wheels in Dane County is a part of that list, leaving some elderly people without a food delivery. Tanisha Shaw talked with organizers. And Tanisha, was this their last resort?
Hi, Brady and Susan. Yes, it was. Meals on Wheels is ran by SSM Health, and they said that because of this cold weather, they had to close tomorrow because they don't want to put our seniors at risk. Thankfully, they have something prepared. They have the Blizzard meal, which is non-perishable food items that the seniors can eat, and they get those items out ahead of time. Now, like I said, for that Blizzard meal, they're getting non-perishable food items, but usually they will get fresh cooked meals Monday through Friday for the seniors. Brian Kelly from SSM Health says preparing ahead of time for cold days like tomorrow and Saturday is essential, especially when involving vulnerable people.
It's always great living in Wisconsin in the winter, right? Prepare ahead always. And I think that makes perfect sense to be able to do that.
Kelly said that another reason why they had to close is to keep their volunteers safe. They have volunteers who go door to door to not only deliver meals, but to also make sure that the seniors are safe. But Meals on Wheels will be back open on Monday.
Tanasia, thank you. And with the dangerous temperatures on the way, many of you may be wondering if your child's school district could cancel. The Madison Metropolitan School District has canceled classes for tomorrow. As far as why district leaders made this decision, the website says the district monitors weather conditions and consults with meteorologists, the City of Madison, Madison Police, and transportation providers, adding, "We will consider closing schools at negative 25 degrees. District leaders say they make every effort to make a decision on closing by 9 p.m. the night before or in the morning of by 5:30 a.m.
Other schools that are preemptively closing tomorrow include Dodgeville, Sun Prairie, Jefferson Schools, Stoughton, Verona area schools, and Waunakee. You can find the complete list of nearly 50 public and private schools that have already canceled school for tomorrow. It's all listed on our website, channel3000.com, and we have the listings updated the minute we get them.
Several communities in our area are also offering warming centers to help anyone get out of the cold. In Middleton, City Hall is open from 8 to 4. The police department lobby is open 24 hours a day. The Middleton Public Library and the Senior Center are available during their regularly posted hours. In Platteville, the police department is open 24 hours a day and available through at least Sunday. The City Hall is open from 8 to 4, and the public library will have varied hours throughout the weekend.
You can track the forecast for yourself on the First Warn Weather app. It has hourly planners, road conditions, and radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. In other news, the manhunt continues tonight for an identified individual who submerged an SUV into Monona Bay earlier this morning.
News 3 Now's Nash Dara has been covering this story today, and he has more details about this ongoing investigation. Nash.
Brady and Susan, at 6:10 this morning, 55-year-old Derek Newton carjacked an SUV near Unity Point Health Meriter Hospital. He then drove the vehicle on the Monona Bay, where it then fell through the ice around 125 yards off the shore. We continue to follow this story as a manhunt for the identified suspect remains at large. Police say Newton is still a threat to the general public as he is believed to have both a knife and a gun. The armed carjacking put the hospital on lockdown as police units and fire teams responded to Brittingham Park to investigate the scene.
So we have a lot of patrol officers that were out searching. There was a large police presence, obviously. A lot of officers from different agencies responded to assist, such as Capitol, UW, etc. Right now we have sensitive crimes detective unit that is assigned out of the West District. We had some members of the violent crime unit down here. We have some person crimes detectives, I think, that are getting plugged in as well.
When on the scene, fire crews with divers went into the frozen lake where they then confirmed no one was still in the vehicle. We will keep you updated with information on this story and continue coverage as more details emerge, but as of now, the search for Derek Newton continues.
We'll continue to follow it, Nash. Thank you. On what would have been the 53rd anniversary of Roe v. Wade, reproductive rights advocates gathered in Madison today to say that abortion access in our state and nationwide remains under threat. The event featured patients, faith leaders, and lawmakers calling for renewed protections for reproductive health care. Organizers with Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin said patients are facing confusion and higher barriers to care even after the state's abortion ban was lifted.
These are not abstract political debates. These are real decisions about whether someone can get a cancer screening, afford contraception, or get the care they need in a medical emergency.
What overturning Roe has shown is that when abortion is left up to the states, women die. Now is the time for accountability and naming the culprits who are putting our lives at risk.
Regardless of what any individual might feel about abortion, every single one of us deserves to live free in a society where we get to make our own decisions about our own health, our own bodies, and our own lives, free from political interference.
Advocates say they're organizing ahead of this year's elections, arguing that ballot box decisions will shape reproductive rights for years to come.
Also at the Capitol today, Assembly leaders unveiled a bipartisan deal to bring Wisconsin Eye back to the air. Wisconsin Eye is a nonprofit that delivers state government news and broadcasts state government proceedings along with coverage of public policy events all across the state. However, it was recently shut down due to a lack of financial support. The bipartisan group headed by Republican Speaker Robin Vos and leader Greta Neubauer says the plan uses a state trust fund along with private fundraising to cover Wisconsin Eye's nearly $1 million budget.
We've been having some good bipartisan conversations about Wisconsin Eye. My caucus cares a lot about this issue. We know how important it is for public access and for the media to make sure that we have coverage of what goes on here in the state capitol.
At a time when we don't always find consensus, it is nice that on something like transparency and open government, I think we're in sync.
Lawmakers also hope to add provisions for more transparency in Wisconsin Eye operations, along with reporting to the legislature.
Coming up next on Live at 4, we're talking with Madison Magazine's Emma Waldinger about the magazine's latest issue.
And if you ever wanted to get the inside scoop about the Dairy State, well, this issue is for you.
News 3 Now, Live at 4, moving forward.
Well, let's take a live look at Beloit. That's a very wintry scene. The weather there is pretty similar to here, about 16 degrees with wind chills, making it feel about 14 below zero. Well, here's your fun fact. Beloit was originally named New Albany in 1837, but it was changed just a year later to Beloit, which was coined from a French word meaning handsome ground. It does look pretty handsome out there. Well, let's get a look at our first warn forecast. A large number of schools in our area have already called off tomorrow, and several events are postponed ahead of time. So what is coming our way, Jacob?
Well, what's coming our way is some of the coldest air we've seen in years. And I would advise every parent out there, although the kid may want to play out in the snow, it's not going to be a good idea tomorrow, as this cold will be very dangerous. Wind chills as cold as -45 for the morning, and especially tonight to tomorrow morning, that's when it's going to be the coldest. But the wind chills are going to be below zero all through the weekend, and we're certainly not alone when it comes to this winter weather. Take a look at how much of the country is under some kind of winter storm warning, extreme cold warning. While we're dealing with the cold up here in the Midwest, places south are going to see a historic blizzard and ice storm that will potentially cripple travel around here. So although the cold is certainly going to be dangerous, we're not the only area dealing with not just the cold, but also extreme winter weather. Now, there's an extreme cold warning in effect at midnight tonight through 1 p.m. tomorrow, but then there's a cold weather advisory from 1 p.m. tomorrow through noon Saturday. So we're going to continue to see some cold wind chills for the next couple of days. But tomorrow morning will be when it's the worst. -40 to -45 degree wind chills will be possible. Not really improving all that much through the day, staying in the -20s, and that's going to continue through Saturday morning as well. Saturday afternoon, they may finally get close to, if not maybe a little bit above zero, but a lot of the region will stay below zero all day Saturday, and then everyone will drop back into the negative teens again by the time we get to Sunday morning. So as we take a look at the kind of how quickly you can get frostbite during these wind chills, we'll be in this red box, and from here you can see that it takes just about 10 minutes for frostbite to occur, especially on exposed skin. So if you have anywhere to be during the morning tomorrow, definitely bundle up, but throughout the entire day, limit your time outdoors, and that also includes limit the time your pets will be outdoors. Now, looking at what we normally see as the coldest wind chill throughout the year, on average, the coldest wind chill is about -30, and we're going to be 10 degrees below that. So, as I mentioned, some of the coldest air we've seen in a few years, and looking at the coldest wind chill on record for Madison, it's -54. Now, we're likely not going to get to that level, but we may be closer to the record than we are to the average coldest wind chill that we get throughout the year. Do want to mention the last time we've seen wind chills this cold, number 8, 2019, January 30th, where the wind chill was -49. Probably going to be a little bit warmer warmer than that, but still going to be bitterly, bitterly cold. Looking at the 10-day forecast, not going to see much snow, but obviously the snow that's on the ground certainly not melting away. Even when we do see those temperatures warm up, we're still talking about high temperatures only in the teens, so not really going to see a lot of relief, and that includes even into next weekend. We'll still see those temperatures below normal.
Thanks, Jacob. It's a good weekend to have a grilled cheese and some soup, or maybe a cheesy hot dish.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of, the February issue of Madison Magazine is available now, and this issue is all about dairy. Madison Magazine's Emma Waldinger is here with more. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Brady. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Trying to survive the cold and what's coming.
Yes.
But this is a great issue. I was paging through it, and first of all, what's your favorite cheese or go-to dairy product?
Oh gosh. I really love Landmark Creamery's sheep's milk feta.
Yeah.
Landmark Creamery's over in Paoli, which is near Belleville, and they have an incredible feta cheese.
Yeah, and this issue features all sorts of cool local places, and it's really honoring our rich history with the dairy industry. Why was that important to do?
Yeah, we realized we hadn't done a dairy-themed issue in a while, and that's really the hallmark thing here in Wisconsin. And whether you're a transplant or you've lived here your whole life, people still love to learn about the lore in our dairy tradition here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, so many families have an attachment. Maybe their parents had a farm and they're taking over, or maybe their mom or dad drove dairy delivery truck. I mean, this is like family history here.
It is. It's actually something like 3% of Wisconsinites are involved in some way in the dairy industry. And 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but that's several 100,000 people in our state, which is an incredible amount of people.
It is incredible. And there's also a lot of fun in this issue. The issue asks some fun questions. I wrote down a couple. Why do we love stinky cheese?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, you know, why would you want to put something that smells like stinky gym socks in your mouth? But it's a long-time Wisconsin tradition that comes from our German and Swiss heritage, especially with Limburger cheese. If you've ever had a Limburger sandwich, it's just something that is baked into our heritage here in Wisconsin, and people carry that on.
Or recently, you know what, I tried blue cheese and chocolate. It was like a weird pairing.
Yeah?
It was pretty good. I recommend it. Have you ever had it?
I have not. I'll have to give it a try, though.
Some more research. But there's also a serious question. I think with everyone talking about artificial intelligence in a number of industries, it's asking, will AI steal cows' jobs?
Yeah, this is a question. I phrased it this way because it kind of pulls you in and makes you think, oh, well, really? So AI is not going to take cows' jobs, but it might replace some workers in the dairy industry. And we really haven't seen that yet here in Wisconsin, but other farmers in other states are experimenting with using AI as a way to cut their labor force, which is, you know, scary for the dairy industry here in Wisconsin that, you know, a lot of people rely on for their livelihood. So it's good to see that Wisconsin's not quite there with it yet, and maybe with some education and some awareness about it, we might be able to avoid, you know, taking people's livelihoods away.
It's a fascinating article. And so beyond dairy, there are some other things that people can look forward to. What are some things paging through that people can find?
Yeah, well, of course, there are all kinds of other dairy stories in this issue. You might want to skip the ice cream story for today and worry about that when it's a little warmer. But besides that, we've got a story from the new owner of Greenbush Bakery, Taylor Carlson. He wrote an essay about his grandfather who started that business. We've also got a story about the College Club and the hundreds of marriages that have come from people meeting at that downtown bar. And on top of that, Best of Business this month, the Leadership Award honorees, and our best places to work in Madison.
Oh, very good. Thank you so much for being on with us today on Live
Of course.
And this is on Stands Now?
This is on newsstands now, and you can also go to madisonmagazine.com and order a single issue.
Woo! All about dairy, y'all. All right, stay with us. The afternoon sprint is right after the break.
It's 4:53, time for the afternoon sprint.
Well, schools closing for tomorrow include Madison, Metropolitan, Dodgeville, Sun Prairie, Jefferson Schools, Stoughton, Verona area schools, and Waunakee. You can find the list of nearly 50 public and private schools that have already called off tomorrow on our website, channel3000.com. And we update these listings the minute we get the notices.
Several communities in our area are also offering warming centers to help anyone get out of the cold. In Middleton, City Hall is open from 8 to 4. The police department lobby is open 24 hours a day. In Platteville, the police department is also open 24 hours a day and available through at least Sunday.
A carjacker crashed a vehicle into Brittingham Bay this morning, according to police. And police say the suspect, 55-year-old Derek Newton, is still on the loose and believed to be armed and dangerous. The carjacking was reported at 6 this morning near Meritor Hospital. If you see Newton, call 911 immediately.
And here's a final look at your 10-day forecast. Not a lot of snow, but a lot of cold weather, especially tomorrow, where the high temperatures are going to be below zero. Wind chills will be well below zero all day. Tomorrow morning, we could be talking about wind chills in the negative 40s. And as we've been continuing to talk about, this will be the coldest air since that 2019 polar vortex. And it seemed like when that did happen, that was the talk of the town. I was in Illinois during the time. We got hit by it just as badly. And everyone was like, oh, polar vortex, polar vortex. Well, this will be the coldest air since that time. So hunker down, stay warm out there, and be safe for sure.
Good advice, Jacob. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Coming up at 5, we're taking a deeper look into a Madison police search for a man still on the run after stealing a car near a hospital and crashing it into a lake and then escaping. And you may have seen this story circulating online. We find out whether you should look out for exploding trees during this colder than normal weather. That'll be quite the answer. Well, thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.